Our mayor is out of town, so I'm stepping in as Mayor Pro Tem, and I'm gonna call this public hearing open. Any comments?
You gotta open the meeting.
I'm opening the meeting.
For the proposed 2017-2018 budget and tax rate. Okay. We're opening the meeting.
We're opening the meeting. Any comments?
Just jump right on in here.
Sure, go right ahead.
This time last year, y'all raised the city taxes basically the same amount you're raising them now. And I understood that was gonna bring in roughly $80,000 to $90,000.
About 87,000, I think is what it was.
And I agreed last year, that's not enough money, because I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do and everything. But I like to say I'm disappointed. I've seen 4 blocks of streets paved this past year, and there's a lot of streets that need attention.
Have you seen the park?
I've seen the park. Yeah.
Okay,
It's great.
that's a little bit more
I had a
important.
little trouble getting to it this morning. I had to dodge a lot of potholes to get there, but the park looked great.
Okay.
Now, essentially, the way I look at it is, in a 2-year period, y'all have increased taxes roughly 20%. Ballpark,
Yeah.
going from 46 cents to 55 cents over a 2-year period.
We're not 50. We're not 55. We're 51. Is that where we are right now, buddy? Yes, the proposed rate.
Proposed rate 55.
Okay.
Okay, that's what.
Can I get into that one real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. We have said almost since the beginning of summer that the proposed rate was going to be the rollback rate. That's not necessarily the rate we're going to adopt. And the reason why is they can come off, the council can come off that. If I put in a 1 cent tax rate increase, they can't go above that, but they can come off. Does that make sense? You can always come down, you can't go up.
So the rate is flexible until we adopt it.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that's when we have those input meetings.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So that's a little misleading what's on the public notice, because it looked to me like that's what y'all.
And that's, and the state requires us to put that proposed rate out there. 999 cities out of 1,000 will do the rollback rate, just to give council some flexibility.
And of course, I might have a lot of people throwing rocks at me or something, but I mean, seriously, I don't have a problem with the 55 cents. That is a big increase from what it was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the streets, like I said, they have been neglected for a long time, and y'all got the equipment now. Get the material and cover some ground next year.
What does it cost per block?
We did 11th Street, and it's depends on the width of the street, obviously. 11th Street cost about $100,000 a block.
But it's expensive. You know?
Mm-hmm. But if you add labor and material and everything, just material only is about probably 65, 70 grand. The Park Road doesn't seem like it's that long. It's actually almost 2 miles down there. Between coming down to the community center and then what I call that back road by my property. I live off of the bluff, going back up. We also did some other things. The dump for the RV was in the middle of the street. We moved that out to the side so RVs can, and there's 2 of them out there, so depending on where you're at, we're making it more convenient for those guys.
And I mean, on one hand, I think some of the streets should have been tended to first. On the other hand, park is something that everybody gets to enjoy. It does look fantastic.
And I'll tell you one other thing with streets. If you got a business downtown, you know what Mass Tech,
Yes.
that's Atmos.
Yeah.
They're replacing gas lines. They cannot tell me where they're going after they get done with downtown. So they can't tell me if they're going to 3rd Street or 4th Street. They don't know. And one of the things that we made a decision on while we did the park was if, let's just say they did 3rd Street, for example. I don't don't even know if it needs it, but just say 3rd Street. We didn't want to go out there and spend tens of thousands of dollars fixing a street in July and then have them come rip it up in September. And I know, oh, I'm sorry.
No, with what Rick is saying, we talked to the guy that was overseeing it last night in Ballinger, and he said 3 to 5 years and every gas line in Ballinger's gonna be done. So every street in Ballinger's gonna get tore up at one point or the other in the next 3 to 5 years to redo all these gas lines. I'm not trying to interrupt the meeting.
No.
It was just, we talked to one of the bosses last night, and that's what he was telling us, that every street in town in the next 3 to 5 years will be completely tore up with them replacing gas lines.
It's going to be 7 years, is what Fisher told me. I mean,
And they don't give you any heads up
No.
at all?
Nope. No, that they're not required to give us any, and I've asked Fisher and I've asked Atmos Corporate, can you give me an idea? And they have just bluntly said no, and in fact, they're probably about 3 months behind. And so we did the park because we know for a fact they're not going down there, there's no gas lines down there. So we know they're not going to do that. That's why we chose that area. What we're hoping for, and they hit us with this in February, late January, early February. Fisher hit me with it, and so we were trying to make. We were going to finish 11th Street. We knew that they weren't going to. The gas lines there are out of the street; they're not in it. That's the other thing too. They can't tell us if those gas lines run down the middle of the street or if they're in the right of way. They don't. They don't know until they get there. And so this year has kind of just been let's fix it because the park needed it, so let's fix that. Hopefully, they're going to start doing work February, March, April, and we'll know what they're tearing up, and then we can come back in behind them.
Okay.
Now, they're going to say that we're going to come back in and repave it all. I can tell you that experience history, and you just drive down 8th Street. Once you cut that street, you never get it back to where it is because it's going to sink,
Right.
and that causes the thump right in front of their house. They're about to have us a thump.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do, what we thought was best, is wait for them to rip that street up. I want to go to Atmos and say, instead of paying your contractor to repave, why don't you pay me and I'll buy the material and I'll come back in and do it.
Good play. Okay, I guess one last thing, and this really has nothing to do with taxes, but on 11th Street where y'all repaved this summer, intersection of Country Club Road, it's beautiful there, but you can't turn off and get on Country Club Road without
That's
falling in a huge ditch.
That's getting, we're working on that. I see what you're on country, like either side of it, right there's about a 3 foot section.
Just a little bit of glitch and thrown in there would help.
Yeah, that's going to get completely redone. We're letting that base settle a little bit before we come back in. We're pretty much going to cut it and redo it. And honestly, what I'd like to do is I'd like to put a concrete apron there and on East Avenue because that's where the water goes. But that's about $40,000 each. So we're trying to find a nice cost-effective way without having the material run down the street when it rains.
Okay. All right, well, that's my input in there.
That's okay.
Appreciate that very much. Now, that being said, I'm not going to be on council after November, but I bet you we're not going to wait 3 to 5 years to pave streets.
No.
So that doesn't need to be the message.
No.
We're just going to get clarification from Atlas because, for our viewers out there, I don't want them saying we're not going to pave streets for 3 to 5 years.
No.
I'm sure we are.
We're going to go off their lead. In a perfect world, they rip a street up, we come in and fix it.
And that makes absolute sense. There's no need, because that would be heartbreaking for them to come in 11th Street and start taking that thing out.
Go look at what they did in front of Alejandro's. They put a vault right there at that intersection, right by Alejandro's. Hutchings and what street's that comes off of that? Sixth. They ripped up right in front of the restaurant. I'll tell you another thing too, as long as we're on streets. Is it 5th that Trace Amigos is where we're having those problems with the trucks.
Mhm.
Tres Amigos has these heavy trucks that come in and they make these U-turns. Well, they did. They're not anymore. They make these U-turns to turn into that convenience store. And while I think it's great, and I support that convenience store, we've got some footage of half that street that we repaired and the other half is being beat up. And you can see where that truck traffic is absolutely just obliterating Fifth Street. And so there will be some streets that we're probably going to put 2 or 3 layers of rock on. Country Club probably being one of them because you're going to have a lot of heavy trucks travel down there. And so we did 9th Street. We replaced some potholes on 9th Street and they've already started to sink. So we're trying to get out of the patch mentality and the repair mentality.
Can I speak?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Fallon Boozliner. I'm a current resident at 808th Street. I'm also a business owner at Church Chic Salon. I have a couple of little things I would like to address to the board and to the viewers. First and foremost, I guess I will begin with the sidewalk issue downtown. I understand there is a petition going around to stop, spending $40,000 to get an engineer in. I opted not to sign that contract. I personally think at this time it is not a wise decision to spend the money on the sidewalks. I prefer, in my opinion, that money be delegated to street repair. And I do believe, as a business owner, we need to get people walking down the streets before we worry about the repair of sidewalks. They're not in bad condition. I'm just saying my piece on that. The next deal I'd like to talk about is Brian Grimes' pay raise. I believe he's making $82,000 right now. He is asking for a $10,000 pay increase. I broke that down. That's about $833 a month. That's about $208 a week. On a 40-hour work week, that's a pay raise of about $5.20. I don't feel like that's out of line. From what I've understood, every city employee within the last 4 years has had a pay raise, except for Brian. I believe it's time. I think Brian has done some great things for our community. I think the water deal is a great thing. I believe getting us out of the red, along with the city council, getting us out of the red into the black, he should be compensated for that, and y'all should be thankful for that as well. Another thing I've already mentioned was getting the city employees raises. Thank y'all for that. It's amazing making people feel appreciated, what a better job they do. They do a better job for y'all. They do a better job for us in the city as a business owner and as a resident. And I appreciate that. And lastly, I'm in support, and I know several people are that are in support of Brian having a pay raise. I think it's a great thing. I think we need to do what it takes to keep Brian Grimes here. He's passionate about our community. He has a positive influence in our community. And if we don't keep moving forward in a positive direction, our city is not going to grow. Change is inevitable, and it has to be done. So that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fallon.
Usually you don't hear positive, really hear a bunch of negative, so we appreciate that.
Well, I don't think we can grow as a community if we keep focusing on what has been. We need to move forward on what is to come, in my opinion.
Well, I'd like to say my couple of minutes, if we were only 3 or 4, forgive me first of all.
Is that your cotton selling at $1.71 a pound?
I wish it was. I wouldn't be in there worrying about it.
You be taking that one.
My name's Justin Boozliner. All of you know me pretty well. The first thing I want to say is thank all of you for what you've done to make improvements to this town. Brian is the head of the monster, but y'all are the body of the monster. And the monster's doing great things, not terrible things. The streets being paid, we got away from the county, having to pay the county to pay our streets. Y'all as the city council and Brian have secured water for us for the future. You know, everybody forgets since the lakes filled up, we were sucking out of the mud hole for about 10 years. I commend all of you for that. Yeah, y'all get to hear all the bad every week, and you never hear the good of what you've done. Everybody knows how intelligent Brian is, and his wife is. And I honestly think this city needs to probably look down the road to pay his wife a stipend so we don't have to hire engineers. I'm not being rude, maybe she has a degree in it. You know, I mean, it makes perfect sense that you have somebody intelligent enough in this town you can use. Why not utilize them? You know.
For the record, Heather, I did put it.
Well, no, I mean, you know, the water lines you guys are doing. You're getting all the rusty water lines out of this town. You're putting in the plastic lines. You know, paving the streets is huge. All of you remember driving down 11th Street. I thought I turned it off. Sorry.
It's $1.73 now.
Yeah. No, I think that good. There's a lot of negative things going around. Y'all need to outweigh the negative stuff with the positive stuff you've done. We can't keep moving forward, like my wife said, if y'all don't keep us moving forward. Brian, I think, deserves this pay raise. I think, if my numbers are right in the research I did, the city manager, Brady's making 110, 108, somewhere in there. I don't think we're gonna overpay Brian by giving him $10,000. You know, I mean,
That was the thought.
well, I mean, I'd like to keep him here as long, I mean, how many years were we in debt? Y'all are all getting us out of debt. We're getting out of debt slowly but surely. We're not having to outsource our resources anymore. Everything's staying at home. We're paying our employees to work instead of leaning on shovels. In high school, I saw more employees leaning on shovels than the state does. No offense to the state. But now everybody's working. It's with the city because y'all are keeping them busy. We've got jobs for them to do. I mean, business owners are going to be business owners. Homeowners are going to be homeowners. We're all going to complain because it's never going to be good enough. We could paint them all in gold and have rainbows over everybody's homes, and they're not going to be happy. So as a council, please just wade through that and see the good things and the bad things that are going on, because there's more good than bad. And y'all and Brian are doing that.
Thank you for that.
Thank you very much. That's my 2 cents.
I appreciate that very
Thank you.
much.
Ms. Grant, you want to share?
I'm tardy, so I don't know what I missed.
It's just an open vote.
It's just
It's just open to
open. Whatever
whatever you want to share.
It's open mic night.
Oh, I love open mic night. So I have to hear my own voice. I walked in on what Justin was saying. I absolutely agree with everything he said. And it's something I always try to remind Brian and remind Sam or whoever I run into when they're getting their rear ends chewed out is keep in mind the gripers are always going to gripe, and the ones that are proud of what you're going to do. It takes us a little longer to get around to saying, hey, thank you, we appreciate what you're doing. So I'm sorry you get your butts chewed on a regular basis, but many of us appreciate you every day for what you do.
Amen.
Yes.
We appreciate hearing that. I mean, from a council perspective, I guess Darlene and I are going on, we've been on 16 years, or 12 years.
Love you.
Feels like 16. 12 years. You know, and I'm just gonna be a concerned citizen here in a couple of months. But I echo much of what y'all say. I mean, the streets, we've paved more streets since Brian been here than we've paved in years. We have a terrible water situation in front of us with no idea how we were gonna solve that problem. And most likely would not have solved it without Brian, and his expertise. You know, the taxes go up. Yes, they go up. But Rick, to your point, absolutely. If they're going to go up, we have to be good stewards of that money, and we have to show how we're going to make those investments, because for several years, we didn't make investments in this town. And we didn't make investments in the streets. We didn't make investments in and look forward in our water problems. We were always kind of reacting. We put an emergency pipeline into Ivy. I mean, that was hard work, and it was a lot of work by a lot of people, but those were always reactionary measures. And for the first time, we're kind of looking forward here, and I think it's incumbent upon us, and I say us, maybe not y'all, but us as the older generation, we have to make those investments. We have to continue to make investments in our community so that Ballinger is a great place to be in 40 or 50 years, which I don't plan on being here in 40, 50 years. I plan on looking down and kind of, whistling. But that, all that being said, to address another issue right quick, and so since y'all are here and we have the public over the internet, just so everybody understands, we've had a copy of this budget for several weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. We've had this budget. We've had a few city council meetings. At every one of those city council meetings, we ask for input on the budget. We say, does anybody have any input on the budget? We had one public hearing last week.
Mm-hmm.
We asked, does anybody have any input on the budget? And there's not a single council member here that ever, in a city council meeting or an open meeting, had a single problem on the budget. And yet, I come in here today and find out there's petitions being passed around, there's articles that are supposedly being written, there's Facebook posts that are written talking about corruption. We're a very open council. In 12 years, I've never known anybody to get shut down or told to shut up. We're willing to talk about things. We're willing to discuss things, but never once was anything brought up. And I believe transparency is absolutely critical for efficient and effective government. And I would encourage any council members, present or not present, if they have an issue, bring it up to the council and we can discuss it. I mean, this other way of doing this, it's not effective. It's not an effective way to govern, and it's not even an ethical thing to do, in my opinion. So I just wanted to say my piece on that. It's always been a very open council. And, just like nobody has any fish to fry here. And so it's like the sidewalk project, right? If the sidewalk project, if people don't want it, good. That's fine. Then we just redirect efforts. But we need to propose these things because, downtown's important to me. We've never had a better downtown than we have right now since I've been here in 2000. We've never had a better downtown. Lots of traffic, lots of things going on. And that's really y'all, that own businesses down there have been doing it. I go down there on Saturday mornings just to dance a little bit to Bobo's music. But I appreciate, everything.
And Philip, what you're saying, I agree with you 110%. But my problem is why is Brian's goose getting cooked when the board's unanimously voting on this deal? I mean, that's something y'all are gonna have to work out internally. Because he doesn't need to get phone calls about and stuff written about him because, as I said earlier, he's just the head of the monster, y'all are the body.
Right.
And if the body's agreeing on it and telling the brain, hey, you go ahead and do it.
Well, it's honestly a little bit underhanded to operate that way because, I tell Brian all the time, it's usually just a vocal few. It's just a few that are really vocal about that, and it's usually from back channels, and it's usually not direct. It's indirect. The Facebook post I saw didn't say Ballinger was corrupt, but it said small town America is corrupt, and then Ballinger was mentioned later, and nobody retracted that. So, that leads me to believe, and I tell Brian all the time, I don't know how you do your job because you got to have some pretty thick skin. There's 2 jobs I'd never do. I'd never be a city manager. I'd never be a coach. I just couldn't do either one of those things. My skin is just not thick enough for that. But he has the city council support. Not everybody has my support. I mean, that's all I can say. I can't speak for everybody. I think he's done a terrific job. I think we look at everything from a business perspective here. I think we look at city manager's job as what does the market pay? And if the market pays this, We want to be competitive on that. I think we do that for every single job we have. And so there's people out there, never directly to me. I always hear it from the side channel, and I think most of us hear it from side channels. If I ever heard it face to face, then I would address it at that point in time. But he's had overwhelming support from most of the city council up until a few weeks ago. So I don't, I can't speak for people that aren't present, but I don't know. We didn't have any issues until a few weeks ago, which oddly, we have an election coming up, so everybody can draw their own conclusions from that.
He's always had my support from the beginning. I tell him all the time too, so.
And we don't always agree.
Yeah.
There's lots of times we don't agree. In fact, I think Brian secretly hates this sidewalk project. And so, we don't always agree.
I'm not a fan, I'll put it
But, Darlene and I have had our differences. Neeloy and I have had our differences, but we talk about it in an open format, and then we take a vote, and then it's water under the bridge. You just move on from there.
You all want the best interest in Ballinger.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So when you work together, you can accomplish many things.
And I'm fairly certain I'm not smart enough to make all those decisions, but as a council, I think we are, with Brian.
Well, I don't know.
And Benita.
You forgot about my name.
Yeah.
I don't know about the general population, and I'm actually clueless on what y'all are talking about, because I don't do Facebook.
I need to be more like you.
Can I be like
So, like I said, I just kind of stay in my own little world, and when I see something like taxes going up, it gets my attention, but that's about it. For my part, you've got my support. I appreciate everybody that volunteers to come up here, twice a month, sometimes more.
And we get $20.
They get $20.
Wow,
They're
okay.
banking. They're banking.
Okay.
And 86 cents. Don't tell me more, 86 cents.
Now, on the sidewalk issue, I heard about that this week, and I did sign the petition. I think I was the second one to sign it. And the way I understood what I was signing is, and I do oppose spending $40,000 on the engineer to tell us our sidewalks are bad. My sidewalk in front of my office is kind of horrendous, but it's been that way for 15 years, and I'd rather see streets paved and other things fixed before spending a bunch of money on sidewalks.
To clarify, a couple things on the sidewalk grant. There's a couple of more votes that will have to be taken. So this is not what we did last week was not the final decision. All they did was authorize an engineer and a grant administrator, and you had to designate downtown as a blighted area. There's at least two more votes that has to be taken before we actually commit any money. And then even at that point, the Texas Department of Agriculture has to come in and award us the money before we even spend $1. It's a 50-50 if they're going to do it. They get more applications than they have money. I'll put it to you that way. But we have not authorized to go spend $40,000. That was a misconception that I was told this afternoon.
And like,
Yeah,
and I understand places
yeah.
blown out of proportion.
Yeah. And I'm the side. I told somebody this today. At some point, they're going to have to be repaired. At some point, I don't know what that point is. If it's in 2018 or if it's in 2028, but at some point they're going to have to be repaired because those sidewalks will end up being like the streets we have now. If you don't do something about them, they're going to have to get done.
And there are liability issues associated with sidewalks.
Yeah.
For the city, not for the business owners. But
For the city. And so,
Just being in a floodplain have any effect on those sidewalks?
that is a 4-letter word, Bob. No, it does not.
It does not.
Unless people are going to live on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Well, I just wondered because everything downtown is floodplain,
Well, and honestly, I mean, we've talked about a lot of options for those sidewalks, because the thought was in the beginning, you got to rip out all the concrete. Well, that's actually not true. You can actually score that concrete down and resurface it. They have, technology now that's a pretty quick, painless thing to do. So we were actually just in the exploring phase of this thing. It was a grant. We don't even know if we'll get it, but we thought, you know.
Because
And,
it's,
and actually, it came up because somebody complained about it, and then they said that was a liability. You know, well, that's, I'm a bean counter, so you say liability, and I start listening pretty close, you know, so.
Well, I think what kind of threw me off, and you referred to it as blight.
yes, sir.
What was the term, what was this called in the,
Disrepair. The sidewalks were in disrepair.
no, but there was a technical term, it was, and blighted was one of the words that was used in there, and
It was blight and something else.
Slum and blight.
slum and blight.
Slum and blight.
Slum and blight was the issue, and I'm thinking, you know, I'm more simple terms, why I just call it, you know, sidewalks need a little bit of repair.
Because the,
Slum and blight sounded like, oh,
the original grant funds come from the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
and they require it.
And there's certain criteria that you have to meet to get their grant funds. And so one of those is correcting slum and blight.
Okay.
And that's the thing. It's about a $300,000 grant. It's 40,000 match, so you're looking at a little over 10% for, you know, what's it, 10, 15% of the money, and then they pay the other 85. That's a grant program that's going to be here for a while. It's been around for 10 years. It'll probably be around for another 10 years. One of the things that I thought about doing was, if we were awarded, can we use those funds to do the repairs that Philip was talking about? And not necessarily have to do the engineering, other than we'll have to meet ADA components. We'll have to make them by Higginbotham, we'll have to make them ADA. I think by treadmill, we'll have to make them ADA, wherever there's breaks. Other than that, could we use that money to repair these sidewalks? I couldn't get of course, it's the state of Texas, so you know, if you ask them what time it is, they'll tell you how to build a watch, but they can't tell you what time it is. So one of the things before I was ever going to go commit money was, let's see if we can get it, and then let's see what I can do with it. Before, you know, because if I can get somebody to come in and spend $300,000 in repair, sure, why not? And if our match is not the engineering, but our match is ripping them out on Tuesday and pouring a slab on Wednesday, or you know, coming in and doing whatever we got to do, why not do that?
Anyone else?
I have one last thing to say that I forgot to mention earlier. I want to thank each one of you as well for the trash cans and benches. As I've only been a business owner for 15 years, but again, I'm so proud, along with, I'm sure Amanda and several others, it just really dressed up our downtown area, and we really appreciate.
And having the trash cans, there's less trash, seems like, on the streets.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, used to people to open the door and throw out their diapers or cups or whatever. We haven't noticed near the trash thrown out, because there's somewhere to put it now.
Well, your store was the inspiration for that,
Why?
because I would always walk into your store with a Coke,
Oh,
and I had no place to put it, so I'd have to.
you should have handed it to me. We had trash cans.
Well, me and 3,000 other people that come visit your store.
Well, they're really
They're
nice.
nice.
Thank y'all for that.
And I don't think people appreciate them.
No.
And then there started all the gripe on them. You cannot please people, no matter what you do.
And for the record, I just want to tell everybody thank you, because a lot of these comments have been about me, so thank you. I'm very humbled and I'm really speechless that you've made that. I have a great council to work with. We work together as a team. When I came here nearly 4 years ago, I had 3 other cities that I could go to. I wanted to come to Ballinger. I wanted to be here. We bought a home here. Our kids go to school here. By the grace of God, my daughter's going to graduate from here. My son's going to play at Bearcat Stadium. I want those things for my family. I could go to a number of places most likely and get another job, but I don't know if I'd ever be as happy as I am here. And I thank you. I've got a great council in Philip and Darlene, and I'm going to miss these guys tremendously. And if you think you're just going to be a concerned citizen, you're wrong. I appreciate Eloy's input. I appreciate his passion for what he does for his constituents, and Eloy cares about this community. I appreciate Sam. Sam went on vacation, so he's, this is the first vacation I've known him to be on in 4 years. And so, and one other person who just completely goes unnoticed, and I want to publicly say something. You don't work for the city of Ballinger for 45 years and not do a great job. And I do a really good job because Bonita does an awesome job. That woman over there, and I'm not even going to look at her. That woman over there puts up with so much stuff you would not imagine. And she does it with class, and she does it with grace, and she does it with dignity. And when I lose my temper, she brings me down. She's the mama bear in this office, by the way. And I like this job, but I love working with Bonita.
I've known her for 61 years, and they've all been good.
And she said she's 59.
I've known her all my life, and all of her family, and her mom, and her grandmother, and they have always done for Ballinger, her family. They've always had Ballinger first, and she's kept the tradition going.
Mm-hmm.
And she can recall information when he asked.
Well, she cares. If you didn't care, you wouldn't recall. She's doing a great job.
Right, we'll call for a vote right
That's it.
I do want to add one thing. When we were looking for a replacement for city manager, we did lots of interviews and we knew what we wanted. So, it's so hard to try to find that right person. And when he called and said, "I want to come and apply," Jolene and I both said, we knew God had something for us. So, yes.
It was the strangest interview. I sat right there. They interviewed me for about 30 minutes, and I think I interviewed them for an hour and a half. And then I remember Philip Park looking at me and saying, "We don't have empty prisons here in Ballinger."
Well, we've been so nice to Brian, I'd like to end it on, if you had a degree from UT, you'd probably make more as a senior. All that nice stuff I can't take on.
In the mold of being fiscally responsible, I just can't see him paying twice as much for half the education.
Anyone else have any comments? If not, I'm going to close this meeting then.
We're adjourned.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for all you do. Thank y'all for all you do.